This meeting being recorded.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Carolyn Jones with Chance of a Lifetime Coaching, and we welcome you to this week's Conversations with Carolyn. It is truly a great honor to have a book author with us on this evening. We have Stacy Jones, who is originally from Galveston. She's now residing in the Texas City area as a program manager for a behavioral health program, and she is so proud of her 4 children and 7 grandchildren. Let's say good afternoon to Stacy Jones. Hello, Stacy.
Hello, how you doing?
I am doing wonderful, wonderful. And once again, we do thank you for taking time out of your busy day and sharing with our audience today a lot of little intricates about Stacy Jones, the author, Stacy Jones, the mother, Stacy Jones, the leader of tomorrow, because you are gracing us with a lot of insight of what it really takes in being a writer. You chose to be a writer, and it takes to bring out the book Teen Exchange. So talk to us, Stacy. Tell us who you are. Who is it, and what is it that you want the audience to know who Stacy Jones is?
My name is Stacy Jones, and I am 53 years old. Some people say I don't look it, but I am a mother of 4. God has graced me to be able to develop a relationship with my son. Of course, in my book, and we'll talk about it a little bit, I didn't raise my son, but God allowed us to restore a relationship, and we have a very special relationship now. And he has 2 sons and a daughter, and then I have 3 daughters after him. And 2 of my daughters have, one has 2 daughters and the other has a son and a daughter. So I have a total of 7 grandchildren. I am a program manager with the Gulf Coast Center. It's a behavioral health facility where we work with individuals that have developmental disabilities and mental health. And I've been in this field for over 20 years. I wasn't always at the Gulf Coast Center. I also worked in Tyler, Texas. That's East Texas, where I went to college at. I went to Jarvis Christian College as an HBCU, and I have a degree in sociology with a minor in psychology. I am a life coach for a small faith-based business called Soul Healing for Women, and it's to help women rediscover who they are, what their worth is. And, you know, I tell a lot of people, the thing about having a life coaching business, especially when you're dealing with someone trying to help them have a balance and coach them and get them tips and tools on taking the necessary steps that they need to take to heal, that's not an easy thing to do. When I first stepped out on faith to start talking about the things that happened to me when I was a young girl, that was a challenge, because that means you have to open up and share yourself and share what happened to you. And it was a calling that God had on my life. And, you know, when God have a calling on your life, he chases you. He pursues you. Yes. You try to run, yes, but he continues to pursue you. So that was a journey. It was a journey, and it was a good journey. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it made me who I am now and who I'm becoming to be. So I try to help women, and I'm not a licensed counselor, although I have experience with counseling. Most of my experiences come from working with individuals for over 30 years, helping them get back on track and coaching them in their lives, and working at the mental health facility for those that need help and coordinating services for them that they need. So a lot of my experiences come from that. And then just having my ministry, Brokenness to Victorious, which that kind of turned out to be like a sisterhood. It's like a group therapy. It's a safe haven, a safe place for women to come and open and share. My ministry is called Brokenness to Victorious, and we try to meet twice a month. But right now with the stuff with the COVID, we're just starting to go back in person trying it once a month to kind of see how things go. Because, you know, I want to be mindful of others' health, because I have to be mindful of my health, because I'm a survivor of leukemia. So I have to be mindful of my health as well. But it's I started my ministry out talking about the things that happened to me when I was a child. And the goal was that so women can see themselves in me that may have experienced that, and know that there's hope, know that they can heal. So it was like, if you open up, and of course everybody again don't share, because it's hard to share about the things that happen to you. So I never wanted to put anybody in a position to feel that they had to do that. So what I would do is I would just share, and I would ask them, do they want to share? And of course I get the ladies to sign a disclosure saying that what we discuss in here stays in here, because I want them to feel comfortable if they want to share, so that we can help one another. Absolutely. I mean, you know, we cry, we laugh, we hug when we can hug. And one of my things that I love to do, I love to feed people. That's one of my love languages. I love feeding people. So we fellowship, we have refreshments. So it's just a safe haven for sisters to come and together and just explore, and hopefully it'll help them take the steps they need to take to start the healing process. Because we're not defined by the things that happen to us. We're not defined by what happens to us. It's our, you know, I feel that we should come to that place where we decide, because we have the power to rewrite our story. We get the opportunity with God to decide that we want to heal those past hurts, because we're not defined by that. We want to step into the fullness of what it is that God has for us. It's not easy. It is work, and it's a process. But it feels so good to be on that side and free of all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's the spiel.
So it sounds so liberating, and we are grateful that women like yourself and your sisters are out there with an avenue of escape for a lot of people. So I hear you talking about your ministry. I hear you talking about your groups, and I hear you talking about your session and how it is you derive from your own life experiences. So if you would tell us a little bit about what that session would like. How is it that if a person is in need of healing, if they are going through some issues and not really sure what they're going through, yet you're out there and you have a place of resolve, how would they connect with you? How is it that you are able to locate and find the women, or how do they find you?
Well, my personal email is Tynette, is TYNETTE, the number 8, the number 2 at yahoo.com.
Okay.
And then my phone.
And what is your targeted population? What type of?
Well, it doesn't matter, unless God tell me, because I also know, you know, on my journey, my ministry is 3 years old. January of this year made 3 years old. And so, you know, through my experience and my journey, I do realize that there are men that have been abused and hurt as well. Men just don't talk about it as much as women. But my ministry is kind of made up of women and girls that's been through different types of abuse. And so I usually put out flyers. When I'm getting ready to have a session, I'll put it on social media for people to know. The ladies that have been faithful and coming, I have a group text that I usually send them to let them know when we're gonna meet. And then I also let the lady know I meet at Raccoon Park, and that's a recreation center in Galveston, Texas, on 41st Street. And I usually let her know.
What is the name of that again?
Is right, WRIGHT CUNEY Recreation Center. And she usually let people know too, because sometimes I put out flyers and of course I put it on social media. So when they come again, like I said, I'm doing this on faith, so I never know who's gonna show up. But watch this. This how God works. Because when you first start on something that God have for you to do, when He give you an assignment, you're doing that by faith, and you never know what's gonna happen. You just being obedient. So when you going somewhere thinking that you're doing one thing, God is gonna use you to meet another need. So because I like feeding others, I don't always know who's gonna show up. I just bring enough, and if I have something left over, the area that I'm doing this at, there are also children that come there for recreation, and those children may be hungry or may have missed a meal or may not eat much. So if I have food left over, it may be 6 women show up, it may be 7, it may be 1. If it's 1, I know I have enough food to feed those children. So God always have a need for me to be able to use that. So that's what I love about God, because when I said, oh, I don't know if I have enough. Do I have enough? Do I have too much? So God had to show me, stop getting caught up in that and just go do what I told you to do. Because ever since that happened, I don't worry about who show up, because I know it's gonna always be some children there that I could feed. So
you're meeting the needs.
Yeah. So we sit there and we fellowship, and I do some of the tips and tools and stuff that I use when I'm doing my life coaching business. I also kind of coordinate that in my ministry, because that's where it all came from. Because I thought about that when I was doing one-on-one, because everybody is not comfortable speaking in a group. So there were women that would call me and we would talk one-on-one because they're not comfortable in a group. I had one lady that came and listened to one of my groups. She had saw my flyer at a women's crisis center. She never said a word. She just came. Whatever was going on with her happened that Thursday. And so that Saturday I had a session, and we were on the subject of talking about stalking. Because when you in a relationship with people that you finally get the courage to break up with, they stalk you because they don't get it that it's over. And so we were on the subject of stalking. And so she never said nothing, but I kept glancing at her and we kept catching one another's eye. And I can tell that something was wrong because tears started welling up in her eyes. So after it was over with, she stayed back after everybody left, and we talked and we exchanged numbers, and we started talking to each other one-on-one. And she was sharing with me what was going on with her. And I said, that wasn't nothing but God that sent her to me, because what she was going through, it was fresh. And usually to take the necessary steps that she needed to take to get through what she was going through, and how she had to get through that process, that usually don't happen that quick for women. That usually take a year or two. It just all depends on what's going on. But God just needed her to take that step. She saw that flyer. She came to my meeting. She started coming, and she started getting comfortable with talking. Now, she wasn't actually talking about herself per se. She only shared that with me and probably a couple of other women, but she didn't share in group. But what she was going through, when she took those steps and got the courage to start her healing, her life started changing like that. And I'm like, oh, look at God. And I said, thank you, Lord, for using me as an avenue to give her the strength and the courage to take the necessary steps she needed to take. And then there were other women that were there that knew about resources in the community that was giving her resources. So I just like the way God moved, and I just say, oh, okay, well, Lord, I don't know what you want me to do with this ministry, but I'm gonna keep going, and I'm just gonna let you show me what it is I need to do. And I also give them scriptures. Wonderful. I also give them scriptures because I believe in divine providence. I don't believe that something just happens. Everything happens for a reason. Back in 2016, I had a major surgery. I had to have a hysterectomy, so I was at home for like 6 weeks. And you can only watch so much TV and read so many books. And so I just grabbed my laptop one day and I started typing up scriptures. I was typing up scriptures on sexual abuse, physical abuse, healing, forgiveness, friendship, marriage. And I don't even know why I was doing it. I was just doing it. So now I use those same scriptures for my ministry. So whatever topic we're talking about in my ministry that week, I give them a copy of that of those scriptures that talks about that in the Word of God, because what we deal with in life, you can find in the Word of God.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I can commend you for being able to take it, as we call it, the trash part of our lives,
Right.
and making it a treasure for someone else. I
Absolutely.
heard you talk about the atrocities of things that happened in your life that were dark areas of your life, but yet
Right.
you can use that to illuminate and bring light to the life of others.
Yeah.
So you are able to, you do the Galveston County area. Is there a way that if someone is listening and they don't live in the Galveston County area, that you provide online services perhaps?
I haven't I'm still working, because God ain't gave me that gift yet. God ain't gave me the gift of knowing how to mess with this computer and stuff. Somebody have to show me. I'm still working. You know how we try to get our young kids or our young adults to get us to show us how to do things. They are, Mama, I don't know how to do this, but you know how to do it for yourself. So I'm still learning how to do the technology part of it. But of course, I still do stuff one-on-one with people, because during the pandemic, when we wasn't able to meet in person, I was doing like a phone conference, whether it was several people or somebody one-on-one. So if someone don't live in this area and they want to contact me and they want to talk and discuss, we can certainly do that online. And once I am able to get my Zoom up the way I want to, where I learn how to do what I need to do for me, we can do Zoom, whatever works for them. But of course, my number is area code 409-989-8713.
Okay. Okay.
So if they interested and they want to talk on the phone about it, that's fine too. And of course, it's different talking on the phone than it is meeting in person. So even if we're not doing Zooming, I don't mind someone giving me their address and me sending them the material that we're talking about. Because sometimes you have to go back and refer to those scriptures, or go back and refer to the lesson or whatever was discussed at each session. Because I do give that away in my ministry when we're meeting in person, but I certainly don't have a problem with mailing that out to anyone or emailing it to someone that wants that information.
Great, great, great. So I would go a little bit further to say that it appears that your writing is ministry. So talk to us a little bit about your writing. How is it that you came to be author? Can you please read the book again of Team Exchange?
Well, like you and I were talking, a good friend of mine named Yvette McGill, she came up with the name. Actually, hashtag the exchange is her brand, and she owns that name. And when she wrote her second book, which was her book by herself, she named her book that, and it was the hashtag the exchange, exchanging my truth for your transformation, where she talked about her experience with childhood abuse. And she said, like a year or so later, God had given her a vision and an idea to write a second exchange book, Continues, where she would share her platform with other women to exchange their truth for others' transformation. So when she asked me to be a part of this platform and this project, I was already starting to write my own book, because we all have a story. Everybody have a story that needs to be told. The things that we go through, we don't understand that when we're going through it, but the things that we go through are not for us. And for the most part, a person's pain becomes their purpose in most cases. Mm-hmm. So we all have a story to tell. And so I just was on this journey. God had me on a journey where I was experiencing a lot of things, being exposed to a lot of things because of some of the things that I went through. and it was preparation for what he was wanting me to do. Listening to different getting different affirmations, different encouraging words, and motivation, listening to motivational speakers, reading books. So it was kind of preparing me. So I started writing my book because I said, well, God is giving me this ministry, but I also need to do a book, because in this book, The Exchange Continues, I just took some of the information that I was already writing in my book and just kind of combined it into one chapter. But you can only put so much in a chapter. So it's like I'm giving them a preview of the things that happen to me. But sometimes when someone is reading something, if they see themselves in that story, they want to know, okay, well, how did you get on that side? What did you do to heal? Or what is the process? Or how did you get over there? Because, a lot of times people have questions. Okay, well, I'm still stuck. So how did you do it? So in my book, I'm going to actually explain some of that once I complete my book, the things that I did to help me. Because how I heal may be different from someone else. And I'm a firm believer, in our culture, we make people think that something is wrong with us if we want to go seek therapy or counseling. I don't believe that God would have gave the person the ability to be able to do that if he didn't think that we need to use them. If you need counseling or therapy, use counseling and therapy. I went through some things the last couple of years where I finally said to myself, okay, Stacey, even though you are healing and even though God have excelled you to certain things to a certain limit, you're still making some mistakes that you used to make. It wasn't. I could just tell that the pattern, making some of the same. Okay, so now it's time for you to deal with you. Why are you making these decisions? Why are you making these choices? Why do you? Because we choose and make decisions based on what we add, how we think about ourselves, what we think about ourselves. That's how we choose and make decisions for our lives. So if you have a certain self-esteem that where you feel like you don't deserve something, then you're not going to get that because you feel like you don't deserve it. And people see that. So I had to deal with Stacey. I had to stop blaming. Although you don't take away from somebody hurting you or doing something to you, they did what they did, but you forgive them, you move on and work on you. I had to work on myself. Okay, why am I choosing these type of relationships? Why am I doing this? So I had to deal with me. It's work, but it's worth it. Every day is the process.
Absolutely. You are.
Yeah. And we're a working process until the very day we die. The goal is to strive for holiness. That don't mean we're going to be holy, but that's the goal. We all a work in progress. But the book,
interesting.
Yeah. But the exchange, so she did that book. And so with this, The Exchange Continues, there were 4 other extraordinary women that participated in this. So you get 5 women's stories in one book. Of how they overcame some things in their lives. You have one author where she's talking about overcoming a learning disability. You have another author that talks about things that she experienced just in her family as a young girl, broken lies, family ties, and abandonment, having abandonment issues, whether it's a father that left the home or a mother that left the home, deceit and deception, and how you grow up with that thinking that you're supposed to be like that until you learn better. Just overcoming those things, overcoming that, knowing that this is not the way it's supposed to be, no matter what environment I was brought up in. This is not how this is supposed to be. And so, and of course, like with the lady that did the chapter about her overcoming her learning disability, she rewrote the narrative of her life and said that I am who God said I am, and I can accomplish this. I don't have a reading disability. That's who somebody else thought I was. I just had to learn a different way, And then, of course, with my story talks about me being sexually molested from beginning at the age of 8 on up to 12 or 13. And then I left that abuse and came into being physically abused. So I'm one of those that experienced teenage violence, teen dating violence. So I just kind of lumped those two together to kind of go from one extreme to the next in my chapter. And of course, it again is a preview. So in my book, it'll tell the full story, you know, how I overcame the things I was doing to be able to start my healing process, and the things that I'm still doing. Because it's a process. When you have been dealing with that, I mean, I was 8, so I'm 53 now. So to deal with that all these years, and then you wait till you're 50 to start really working on it, that's a process. It's work. It's work. And I still have my days and my moments where you want to start back thinking, because we're creatures of habit. So we want to start thinking, okay, it's easier to just be the way we was. No, God done brought you too far to go backwards. I will not go backwards. So I have to keep affirmations. I have affirmations all over my wall. And I also give the ladies affirmations.
Yes.
Because the same affirmations that I read for myself, I give to other ladies. And then, of course, you have the lady in the book that talks about overcoming her thoughts of wanting to commit suicide. And you also, and then of course the author herself, Yvette, that's the leading author, she came up with, she didn't talk about her childhood abuse in this second book. She just talked about how she didn't want revenge on the people that hurt her. She wanted God to transform her. So she talked about her journey and God helping her to take what she went through to transform her and make her a better person and use that for his glory. So that's basically what the book is for. It's about. You get 5 women's stories in one book. And hopefully our goal is that it would be used for help you transform your life and step into the fullness of what it is that God has for you. And again, anytime we want to start the healing process, it's a mind thing, it's a discipline thing. But for me, what helped me is I got to go to God. We have to go to God. Everything come back to God. I don't care what nobody say. You can walk away from God and try to do your own thing, but something gonna happen where you're gonna come back full circle back to God. So that helped me a lot, just listening to sermons, reading the word, reading affirmations about myself, going to counseling. So it's ways to heal. Everybody heal different. So our hopes is that somebody will read this book and see their story in one of our stories, or more than one, and do what they need to do to start the steps to healing.
Wonderful. Can you raise the book a little bit high? There we go.
And see, this is what I like. There we go. I believe Pastor Crystal Berry is the one that did, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she's the one that did these covers for us. And it was unique because whoever supports me and buy a book will have my face, and whoever support the other women will have their face. The content is the same, it's just a different face for whoever you support. So that's the book. The hashtag exchange continues. Ma'am.
Wonderful. I just want to commend you, first of all. I want to commend you for your significant and absolutely breathtaking journey. I want to say that in all aspects of what you had to go through, we all wish we didn't have to go through certain things in life. But I want to commend you for, first of all, saying I'm sorry that even had to happen. Second of all, I want to commend you for breaking the cycle. You broke through barriers that history and statistics says that we cannot do. And I like the fact that you are encouraging others, that you're putting yourself on a platform that you are able to help others. Now, in this particular book, I know you have your section where you talk about you and things. Are there any specific areas that goes into detail about the tragedies that may have happened? And I ask this because sometimes people will hear us talk about, we went through this, we made it here, we went through this, we made it there. But we don't really talk about the transparencies. And sometimes people that really need to hear it or who it gravitate upon may not really see themselves because they they see themselves a little lower, but no, that's not me. They're better than me. Oh, they didn't have it like me. So sometimes people have to hear that relative
Right, right,
story, hear that
right,
relative situation, say,
right.
wow, I'm not the only one. So can you talk a little bit about that? Are some of those significant areas in the book, or is that something that will be in your next book?
It is a taste of it. It's a taste of it in there so that they
Okay.
can be able to, so that my story can be relatable. Because the person you see now is not who I always was. And God is still working on me. But because I made the decision that I can't do this without God. I mean, I've always felt that his presence was there, even when I was in my darkness, because
Yeah.
even sometimes when I would feel like I'm getting ready to fall off a cliff, he'll snatch me back. So I always knew that
Oh,
his
yeah.
presence was there, but I didn't always have a relationship with him or knew what that meant. But it wasn't until I started developing a relationship with God where he started showing me who I am, who he says I am. So my self-esteem was not always high. I mean, in the book, I talk about how when you experience something like that at such a young age, you have a distorted view on life and you see the world different. You feel like you have to have relationships, sexual relationships with different men or boys to be loved, to feel loved. Having low
Hmm.
self-esteem, thinking that somebody love you because you sleep with them, and that's not so. So I went through that stage of being promiscuous. I went through that stage of drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana, trying to numb the pain. And so I know that there are other women and even men that try to numb their pains with other substances other than God's word. Um, I talk about how I felt ugly and dirty and worthless because that's how it makes you feel. Like I mean, what did I do to deserve this? Maybe I deserve this. Even with the physical,
Hmm.
even with the physical abuse, having black eyes and just going through the abuse of somebody almost breaking your arm or almost killing you. So that beats you down. That beats your self-esteem down. The mind is powerful. The mind is
What
powerful.
was that aha moment for you? I want to interject here because you're alluding to something that's really, really pivotal. What was that aha moment when you said enough is enough?
But
What was it? The although the abuse had continued, and then you and as you say, we all go through different ways of trying to not only
right.
approve of ourselves, but prove ourselves to others. And you went through all of that. What was it that aha moment that you said enough is enough? I'm ready for a change.
Well, and then I was pretty young too. That's why I said God had to have his hand in it because when I think back over my life and when I went through those things, I was a pretty young girl. Because the sexual abuse was from the age of 8 to about 12. And the only reason that stopped, I believe, because I got pregnant and I had a son. I
So
had a,
did
yeah. And God is still good because God take what God take what the enemy meant for evil and he make it for his good, because even though I went through this period of being a teenage mother, because I think I was going on, I think that year because my birthday is in August, so I always get that mixed up. I think I was going on 15. That year I would have been 15, but I had him when I was 14 because I had him in January. To even go through that at such a young age, and I'd be thinking to myself, how did you go through that? And I can't credit nobody but God. How did you go through that to be able to be sound enough to be able to make an adult decision that you didn't really want to have an abortion, but you could have went that route, and the thought
right.
came to my mind to go that route, but I gave him up for adoption and I left the adoption open in case he ever wanted to find me. I didn't make that decision by myself. So I
I
often
was,
think about that. But
I
God
was
gave him to,
wondering about.
yeah, God gave him to a Christian family, and he grew up right in the Woodlands. And I never knew that till later on, because I had an aunt that worked at Vital Statistics, so she knew where he was at, but she couldn't tell me because of her job. But his parents started writing me before I left to go to college, and they were talking about they were Sunday school teachers. They was raising him to be a Christian. They was raising him in the church. So God gave him to a good family. Through all that stuff that I went through, he still gave him to a good family. And now
And
we have a relationship.
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
And now I think I heard you say you got brought you and your son back together.
Yeah.
So now all of that is coming full circle.
Yeah.
What about your sports? When you were going through being sexually molested, was it a family member, a family friend? And what was your family support like?
Well, it was two different men. One was someone that my mom was dating that was a live-in boyfriend. And then this man in the neighborhood, you know how they call them dirty old men, but to me they sick to be messing with young girls. But I was back and forth living with my grandmother and my mom, because my mom, once my mom and dad had separated, she was a single parent struggling to raise and take care of two girls, because I have a sister. Right. So we would be back and forth from her house to my grandmother's house. So the other man, this young lady that young girl at the time that I befriended in my mother's neighborhood, she used to always go to this man house that she used to say that was her uncle. Okay. But that wasn't her uncle. It was just somebody that I felt like he was having her to lure young girls to his house so that he can have sex with them. So I dealt with a lot of guilt and shame for allowing that to happen to me when it wasn't my fault, even if I didn't do nothing with one of them. You know what I'm saying? Because both of them were doing something to me that they shouldn't have been doing. So in the beginning, I didn't know who my son was for, and sometimes I still wonder. But of course, I blame my mama boyfriend because he lived with us, and I wanted him to stop messing with me. So you know, as children, you just dealing with what you're dealing with. And as far as the
physical, did you tell your mom? Did you tell your mom?
Well, yeah, later when I had to tell her once I became pregnant. Because somebody in the neighborhood, because you know when we was growing up, we had that neighborhood village. You know how we had that. They don't have that now. Our kids so need that village, but we had a neighborhood village, so people looked out for each other. So this lady kept saying, Miss Betty, I believe Stacy pregnant, and so one day she asked me, and so that's when I had to tell her. And I was scared because I was a young girl, because you know they even though those things that happen to you are not your fault, you still feel like it's your fault. You embarrassed. You think you're gonna get in trouble, and it's amazing how we be still trying to protect those people that are hurting us. And as far as the physical abuse,
unfortunately.
The guy that I was dating in high school, he was a senior and I was a freshman. And I knew him before we started dating because he lived in my grandmother's neighborhood, and we actually was friends first. But then when we started dating, he started getting possessive, and the longer I stayed with him, he kind of isolated me from my friends and was trying to isolate me from my family. And so I went through all types of different abuse with him. But when I finally decided I dated him for over 3 years before I finally got enough courage, because I got tired of him putting his hands on me. And so one day I just got up, without giving the whole story away, but to tell, just to tell another woman, it's not easy. And I would be sitting up here lying if I say everybody knew how to get out, because some women have themselves in situations where someone is taking care of them, and so they don't feel like they can financially leave. Uh, Although I went through those things, although I was young, I do still credit God and thank God for giving me the wit that I had at such a young age. Because I used to see so many women go through so many things in my neighborhood, and I always would say that wasn't gonna be me, even though some of that was me. But as far as me putting myself in a situation where if I had to leave, I wasn't gonna be able to. Now that part I stuck to, because I said to myself, even if I did go through that, I didn't want to ever be in a place where I felt like financially I couldn't take care of myself. Well, God gonna do that anyway. Once you learn that you have to get that to him. So I was always, even though I went through the things I went through, even though my self-esteem was low, I also still had enough wit to know that at the end of the day, you got to take care of you. So I always had my own money as far as you know, as I started becoming of age where I could get a job. I always had my own money. So that wasn't an issue. It was just me getting to the point where I had enough courage to leave. Because after I graduated from high school, before I even went to college, you know, you unless you go through it, you can't, it's something that you can't explain. It's a mind thing. It is a mind thing because psychologically they have your mind. Because I had broke up with him my senior year because I decided that I was going to enjoy my last year of high school. I shouldn't be dealing with this in high school. And so I did break up with him, but after graduation, I felt sorry for him and took him back. And so we okay. You know, you think you're grown when you graduate from school. And so I moved in with him, and that was a mistake. Because after I moved in with him, it didn't even take a good month, the abuse started again. And so I went through that for like another maybe a half a year. And then I just one day I had to pull out a knife on him, and I said, you know what? I'm not gonna go to prison from killing somebody. I said, and I had to tell myself, if you don't leave him, he's gonna kill you, or you gonna kill him. Because the incident with the knife, he wanted me to have a baby from him. Well, I knew I wasn't getting ready to do that. So I lied and told him that I wasn't taking birth control pills anymore, but I was, because I wasn't getting ready to have any children from him. And so he found them. And I was in the kitchen one day fixing me a lunch, getting ready to go to work, and had a knife in my hand. And this man hit me in the eye. And my first thought was to take this knife and stab him. And something say, no, don't do that. And now I know that was God. Now I know that was the Holy Spirit. No, don't do that. And so I just took it. I went to work with a black eye. But that next day when he went, because he always go to work before me, that next day I watched him get on that bus to go to work. When he disappeared out of my sight, I went in that bathroom and I looked in that mirror and I said, why are you here? Why are you still here? This man gonna kill you, or you gonna kill him, or he gonna disfigure you. Y'all don't have any children together. Y'all not married. Why are you here? And I packed up my stuff. And still me, you know, I'm one of those kind of people. I'm an humble person, and I've always been one of those people where I put others' needs before mine and be feeling sorry for people, even people that's hurting me. So even in the midst of me packing up my stuff to leave him, I still wrote him a note. I ain't had to do that, but I did anyway. Like I owe him an explanation. Right. But I had my sister was dating someone that had a truck at the time, and I asked her to get his truck and come get me, and I moved back with my mother, and that was it for me. And I took this lady that was a big pillar of our community, that she was a substitute teacher throughout our school district. She used to take kids to different colleges to like tour the college to see if it's a college that they would want to go to. And her main college was Jarvis Christian College, because Jarvis Christian College have a summer enrichment program that she would try to get you to go to. And if you go, you earn 9 credit hours. And if you decide you're gonna go back in the fall, those 9 credit hours will go towards your freshman year. And so I kind of had put that off because she had kept asking me. But then after I moved back with my mom, I said, you know what? I don't want to be in Galveston County anymore. I don't know where my life gonna go. I don't know. I just feel like if I stay here, I'm not gonna accomplish anything. So I had to get away to a new environment to see something different. So that's when I called her and told her that I would like to give the college thing a try. And I left here and didn't come back. Until yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? It was so illuminating to hear you about you went from the very depths of your valley to the triumph of giving college a try. And I want to go back a little bit and kind of capture something, because I want you to make this plea to these to someone out there that may not be in the spiritual state that we're in. We love God and we know that God ordains everything about us. And the Spirit dropped it on me. I have a piece that I'm working on, and you may have seen it on my Facebook page and in social media. But a perfect time is your purpose time. A lot of times we look for the right time, the perfect time. Oh, I'm going to wait on this. I got to wait till I get this. But your purpose time is the perfect time for you to launch and do what the inner thing is that God wants you to do. And it looks like you took that purpose time of giving, you know what, I want something bigger for myself. And that's the thing that we have to be so alert upon, because in our own communities, we don't have enough dialogue. We don't have enough talking and communication about accepting each other for who we are, understanding each other, appreciating each other. Everybody make mistakes, let's move on. It's always this. And I want you to talk to that person right now that's been abused, that's been isolated, that's been rejected, denied, and they've tried one time after another. It's like every time I take a step up, I move 2 steps back. Every time I try to save a little money, something here happens. But talk to that person who's been hurt by the church, who's been hurt by religion, who says, y'all talking about God, but God has forgotten all about me. God has whatever. And I say that because there are so many people out there that's been hurt and think God has left them. Yet you are commending God for all of your monumental moments in your life. Talk to that person that's listening now and said, this woman, she's an author, she's gone to college, she's writing books, and she's gone through that, but I'm still going through this, Talk to that, speak to that person who doesn't understand or doesn't quite know how to place God in the awesomeness that you've done it as to your reason for success.
Well, first of all, we're gonna go through trials and tribulations and things in life. That's just inevitable. Everybody gonna go through something. It doesn't matter if you decide to give your life to God or if you decide to keep trying to make decisions and choices to navigate through this world on your own. You're gonna have trials and tribulations. He never said because you come to him and you develop a relationship with him that you wasn't gonna have those troubles. But if you develop a relationship with him and you have that relationship with him, it gives you hope. And for me, when I started studying the Word of God and started surrendering and giving my life to him and developing a relationship with him, and he started showing me who he says I am, you have a different perspective on life. You see it different. You see the silver lining in the things, because it could be worse. I mean, you know, like some people sit here today, and when I empathize and have compassion for other people, I try to put myself in their shoes. Like the stuff that's going on in Ukraine, that could be us, but it's not. So when I think, because even with where I'm at right now in my life, I still have things that I go through. And so I have to remind myself it could be worse.
That's true.
Uh,
True.
and as far as church hurt, for me, the only thing I could say about that is it's a difference in going to church and having a relationship with God. Religion is man-made. Yeah, religion is man-made. That's a man thing. It has nothing to do with having a relationship with God. When you have a relationship with God, you kingdom-minded. You're striving toward what it is that God wants you to do and what you need to be doing in his kingdom to build up his kingdom, not going to church because it's a sociable thing to do. So church people,
you hit the nail right on the head there.
Church people hurt people. Yeah. Church people hurt people because they still hurt. Everybody that go to church, I mean, the church is a hospital for everybody. Just because you go to church don't mean that you're not dealing with nothing. But as kingdom-minded people, as we have to be careful when we say we kingdom-minded, because we all get caught up. Let's just be honest. We all get caught up and we all have our moments because our spirit is fighting with our flesh. And so sometimes we have that moment in the flesh where we do something to say something we don't have no business. But the important thing is that we recognize that and we correct that. Now, a person that's just going to church and don't have a relationship with God, they operating out of flesh. So when you operating out of flesh, you tend to hurt people and judge people. We are the biggest judges and we shouldn't be judging anyone. You know, I was having that conversation with someone the other day. They were talking about
right, Stacey.
Yeah. I was having that conversation with someone the other day when they were talking about some women being in church talking about the girl wearing the short dress. Well, you have to catch the fish first. And when that's saying when they say come as you are, yes, come as you are until you learn better, until you learn to do better, until you learn to know that you don't have to dress like that. That's not saying that for you to judge somebody because of the way they dress, because they're not gonna know better to not to do that until they get up under someone that's a mature Christian that could be a mentor for them and teach them how to have a relationship with God and what God's word is. So you don't just come out doing it, because it was a process for me. I always went to church as a little girl, but I was just going because that's what everybody was doing. You know, it's different when you have a relationship with God, because God, wisdom comes from God, and when you have a relationship with him, you see life different. And so for that hurting girl, my suggestion for that hurting girl, and they may not be there yet, and you can't, like I said, with my life coaching business, somebody have to be ready for that, because it is work. It takes work, but it also takes somebody to reach out there and let somebody know that you are valuable. You're not worthless. I used to do a paper route a couple of years ago where I used to go out and deliver newspapers, and that's before day in the morning. I needed the second job for a little while, and so I was a paper carrier. And one of the things about having a relationship with God, you're allowing yourself to be sensitive to what the Spirit is telling you. So sometimes what look like, and I'm going to use the paper route for an example, what looks like a paper route to some people became an assignment for me, because the thing that I got to experience while I was delivering these newspapers, there were women at 3 and 4 in the morning walking the street, and my first thought was, why are these women walking the street? You know, I ain't naive, but I'm just, these were just my thoughts, because I'm like, it's pretty dangerous to be walking the street at 2 and 3 in the morning. And then it came to me, that could have been you. Because these women ain't on the street because they want to be. These people not homeless because they want to be. Something happened. And so the Spirit started dealing with me when I was seeing these women. And I started giving out hygiene bags. I would stop and I would ask them, you know, do you mind if I give you something? And I would give them a hygiene bag, you know, full of different little hygienes and snacks and stuff. And I would even give them my business card and some scriptures that they can read. And I let them know there's no judgment here. I'm not judging you. We all have a story. We all go through something. We all are ex something. So I'm not here to judge nobody. I just want to give you this hygiene bag, say God bless you, be safe out here. And I would love to hear your story when you ready. So that became
Awesome.
an
Well, thank
assignment
you
for
so
me.
much, Miss
Yeah,
Stacy.
yeah,
Yeah. I like that your what people looked at as a job and it turned into your assignment. So
right.
as I'm seeing all this culminate into your writing,
Right.
um, did you ever get writer's block when you were writing your book? How
Yes.
did you overcome your writer's block?
Um, well, first of all, sometimes when you get writer's block, you just stop writing. Because I started writing this book back in, now this is 2022 and I'm not finished my book, and I'm ashamed to say that, but I'm not. And you know,
No,
life,
don't be ashamed. It's
you
your
know, life,
process. Own your process. This is
right,
your
right.
process.
But I wanted to be right. And then, I started writing this in 2019. But of course, like I said, when my good friend Yvette asked me to participate in her project to do this other book, I kind of just stopped doing what I was
Right.
doing and focused on this. So this year I started back focusing on my book, taking some time to, but I always want to, because I want this to be what God needed to be. I want to be led by the Spirit on how to write this, what to say, not just a book about my experience, a woman that was sexually abused or a woman that was physically abused. What did you go through? What was the process? How did you heal? I'm gonna have scriptures in there, relating to the different experiences that I went through. So it's taken some time because I wanted to be done right, and I want to be led by the Spirit to do it.
Wonderful. That's great. That's amazing. And I am so glad to hear the wonderful ways that you rejuvenated your life and how your story is a transparent story that's transforming lives. And there's so
Right.
many other lives that can be touched by what you have to offer. So tell us, how can they obtain a copy of your book? Can you raise back up again and tell us how you can obtain it?
Okay. Again, I gave my phone number and I gave my personal email, but I also have a Cash App. My Cash App is, of course, the $, brokenness 2, the number 2. So it's a $,
Okay.
brokenness 2. And then they can, if they on Facebook, I'm on Facebook as Stacy Jones. Of course, I'm on Instagram as Jones Decluid, but that's lowercase. So they can email me, they can inbox me, they can call me, and if they need to meet me somewhere, if they locally, I can meet them. If they need me to mail it, I can mail it. They'll just have to send me their address.
Okay.
And
And
it's
how much is
it's just $20. I was doing shipping and handling, but I don't
okay.
worry about shipping and handling right now. It's just $20.
Okay, okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, Miss Stacy, it has been a true pleasure to
Yes,
hear
always.
about you and your stories. And you're right, everybody has a story. And
Yes.
so, in your final thoughts and in your final words, tell us what you want us, your readers, what you want the listeners here tonight to take away from your story, to take away from your writing, and what to look for in Stacy Jones.
It doesn't matter what you go through in life, we all go through something. And I believe that God has something bigger for all of us, for those of us that believe that, because I'm not naive. I know that everybody don't know God. Some people don't believe in God. They believe in what they believe in. But truly for me, giving my life back to God and developing a relationship with him, and not, because again, I didn't want to just go to church and do the everyday thing over and over. I wanted to have a relationship with God so that he could show me how to do things, how I needed to navigate my life and navigate in this world, because there's a lot of distractions. But whatever you go through in life, you can heal. And again, everybody heals different. So what it may take for me, it may not take for you. But I do want everybody to know that if you need counseling, there is absolutely nothing wrong with counseling. Your mental health is as important as your physical health. And sometimes people do meditation. Sometimes you have to get away and disconnect from everything so that God can speak in your spirit or whatever you believe in. If you turn off everything and you just meditate, that's still your spirit. It helps you focus. It helps you get back on track. I always say that so many of us, men and women, we walk around as adults so broken from things that of our past that others done to us, and then we try to get in these relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, or whatever. We try to get into these relationships with other people, and we hurt them for something somebody else did. But we need to take the time to heal ourselves. Take the time to heal yourself. Work on you. And see, that's where I'm at right now, because again, one of the things that I was on a journey about when I made the decision that I needed counseling, I was getting ready to go through my second divorce. I've been married twice. And I'm like, and at first I was ashamed because I'm like, this gonna be my second divorce. But then God had to deal with me, and I had to get honest with myself. Why are you picking these pattern of men? Are you picking these men based on where you at? And you truly are. Where if you broken, you making decisions from brokenness. So if you're a broken person and you have low self-esteem, that's where you making decisions from. It's not until you start healing and started valuing yourself and seeing what your worth is that you pick better. You pick better for your, whether it's a relationship or whether it's a better life. You pick that based on where you are. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm not all the way there, but I'm there, and I see things clearer now. I always tell God, whatever journey you have me on, I don't want to force anything or anyone in my life that should not be. I don't want anything or anyone that's not for me. You know, anybody can want you, but will they value you?
That's
where I'm at right now. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, that's a good place to be, Stacy. And I just truly want to thank you, because your journey is your journey. Everybody's journey is different. That's one thing about Chance of Lifetime Coaching. Meet people where they are. Your journey is a customized place. And I want to thank you for just telling us about how it is that you were able to go through your different challenges as a child, and going through there's a lot of teenage abuse between friends and friends, and nowadays plus there's so much other elements brought into the relationships. People think because you are a lesbian or you are in a homosexual relationship that there's no abuse there. Just because it's a psychological dysfunction. So I like the fact that you were able to bring out about that as part of your journey, and bring out about how you were able to merge into your religion, your spiritual belief, and then your own, breaking it off into your own ministry. And it sounds like you had ministries going on. You were purpose for ministry, whether you knew it or not. And it started years and years and years ago. And it just sounds good to know that you were able to take that relative time and have that thought say, now is my time to shine. So there, for anybody that's out there to watch, that you have heard Stacy Jones' story. You've seen how Stacy was able to merge all of her atrocities and things that were negative, and even the things that were positive. She talked about going to college in the mentor helped her and her supporters along the way. That you're able to make a collaboration of all of that and create something totally fabulous. And you are an amazing woman. Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
And it looks like to to me have something that is totally different. It's very unique, and I'm mindful that there may be other organizations and other entities that will actually elevate out of what you have started here, your ministries,
Right.
and we just thank God for your ministries, and we're wishing the best endeavors for you, your ministry, and your journey. And one of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou is that if you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. Thanks for
Yes.
being amazing, Stacy. Thanks for being with us. I know we'll see more about Stacy. Once again, it's the team, the exchange. She can be found on Facebook. She can be found on Instagram. Her number is 409-989-8713. Call her or email her at Tynette, Tynette 82 at yahoo.com, Tynette 82 at yahoo.com, so that you can get your hands on the book and read more of the insight and details about how her journey can help you on yours. Thanks, Stacy. We'll see you next time. This has been Carolyn Jones with Chance of a Lifetime Coaching. Let's go be amazing. Move forward with confidence.
Bye-bye. Thank you.